Consider this unsettling image. A person walks through life the way a house might stand without a foundation, upright for now, seemingly fine, but one shift in the wind, one unexpected tremor, and the entire structure is at the mercy of forces it cannot control. That's what it's like to lack a sense of self, a hollow architecture, walls without anchoring, a life where anything can rearrange you. And that can be dangerous in a few ways. Without a sense of self, you become absorbent. So people without a stable identity, they don't simply interact with the world, they absorb it. So they take on things like other people's emotions, other people's desires, other people's expectations, other people's definitions of who they should be. It's like a sponge left in dirty water. They can't help but drink in what surrounds them. And the unsettling truth is, you don't get to choose what fills you when you're empty. Secondly, people who lack a sense of self become dangerously easy to manipulate. A person who doesn't know who they are, it can be very easy to convince them things like, this is what you want, this is who you are, this is what you should do, this is where you belong. So, when you lack that inner compass, that inner guidance system, then any stranger can hand you theirs, and that takes you over. And the world is full of people who love to do that. Some people will shape you for convenience, others will shape you for control. Some will shape you simply for their own entertainment. And some won't even notice trying to shape you at all. They just do it. And the danger isn't that the others have power, but instead the danger is that you don't. The third way that can be dangerous, not having a sense of self, is you easily mistaken attachment for identity. So without an internal sense of who you are, you cling to whatever gives you temporary definition. And that becomes you. And it's almost like, you transition from one thing to the other, whether it's a relationship, a job, a belief system, a role, a group, a person who's stronger than you, a person who's better than you, a person who you perceive as superior in some way. So you become an echo of that thing you're attached to instead of a voice. You become a shadow of someone else as opposed to your own figure. And the most unsettling thing about that is you might feel more like you're being yourself when someone else is telling you what you should do. The fourth danger of lacking a sense of self is when you experience emotions, it can feel like foreign intruders, unfamiliar. Because people without a sense of self often don't understand what they feel or why they feel it. It's like emotions come at you like you're at your house and a stranger's pounding on your door. So you might get a sense of anxiety, a sense of anger. You might get a sudden sense of attachment, maybe fear, emptiness. And without a stable identity, there's nowhere to put them. There's no category. You can't link the feeling to anything concrete. There's no narrative, which means you can't really own the feeling. You don't know what drives it. You don't know what anchors it. And if you manage to get rid of the feeling, you don't know what might cause it to come back. It's like being haunted by ghosts that might actually be your own ghosts. And the fifth reason why it can be dangerous to lack a sense of self is because you become addicted to external validation. When you don't know who you are internally, you depend on the outside world to tell you. And that can be very dangerous because praise feels like oxygen. Rejection feels like suffocation. Attention feels like existence, and silence feels like death. And a person without a sense of self can spend their entire life chasing approval, just to discover that approval never fills the void, it only feeds the hunger. And the danger is not the craving, it's that the craving never stops. The sixth reason is you risk collapsing under the weight of life's smallest disruptions. People with strong identities bend during storms. People without them shatter during breezes. So things like a minor criticism, a sudden change, a breakup, a mistake, a failure, a shift in routine, any of these things can destabilize someone whose identity is externally constructed. When there's no center, everything is a threat. And ultimately, if you don't have a stable sense of self, you may reach adulthood without ever having truly existed. And that's arguably the most haunting danger of all. The fact that many people live their entire lives reacting instead of choosing, adapting instead of becoming, blending instead of belonging, performing instead of expressing, pleasing instead of thinking, mirroring instead of living. And then one day, usually later than they wish, they realize that, they've never been someone, they've only ever been what others needed them to be. And it's like you reach the end of a chapter, but you weren't the author of your own chapter.